Hey you, how are you guys doing today? Hold on, I've got text coming in. It's Thursday. How is it Thursday again? Wasn't it just Thursday, a couple hours ago? Summer's getting to be a little bit busier season than I bargained for. That's okay. We're still in June. So it's Thursday. Here are 3 things that I want to share with you today. So the first one, if any of you know me, and some of you know me really well, I'm fascinated by human beings. What makes us tick, what makes us do what we do, what makes us do horrible things, what makes us do amazing things, personalities, and I've been digging into a lot of trauma-related stuff, just trying to figure out what makes me tick, how am I holding myself back. So, hey, Braden. So I love digging into people, learning from people, learning about myself. Hey, Abigail. So I've been digging in most recently to Enneagrams. I think I'm a little late to the Enneagram train, but I think it's really fascinating. So a lot of people know the 4 letters where your Myers-Briggs score. My husband and I are both INTJs. We probably drive a lot of people crazy. That's okay. We are who we are. But Enneagram kind of digs in more to, the driving forces behind what we do. So I am, and there are 9 Enneagram types. I took an online test, one of the free tests out there. I don't remember which one. Just Google something. And I am, Braden, you're an ENTJ. So you're just I'm right there on the line between the I and the E. So I'm more introverted, but just a little bit. It's probably what helps me get on video. And also that under the Enneagram, I'm a type 3. I'm the achiever. I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to be the perfectionist, which is what my husband is. And there are lots of different names for these types, but achiever and perfectionist are kind of the closest. I thought I was going to be a perfectionist. Turns out I was wrong. So I recommend taking it because what it does is it digs into how do you perceive love? How do you see value in yourself? How do you know that you're worth something? How do you attribute that worth to yourself? And so I'm the type of person who, the words of affirmation, admiration, respect, accolades. I like being told that I'm doing well. I like the A. I like the gold star. And so that affects how I do business. That affects how I parent. That affects my relationships. And learning that about myself has helped me back away from some of those natural tendencies. So I believe our personalities are there, but we can overcome them. We can move around them. So knowing what makes you tick, you can kind of override that operating system. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my head. So anyway, I've been reading, what is this? The Sacred Enneagram. This takes a more spiritual note to Enneagram than a lot of the stuff on the internet. And this one does have a really heavy Christian tone to it. But there is a little segment here that I liked a lot. And it's the 9 types of the Enneagram form a sort of color wheel that describes the basic archetypes of humanity's tragic flaws, sin tendencies, primary fears, and unconscious needs. The understanding of these components, when shaped through contemplative practice, helps us wake up to our true self and come home to our essential nature. So when you start figuring out what makes you tick, and you can even dig in, I like to dig in through journaling, to those darker moments from childhood and adolescence and young adulthood, those shape us. So learning what shaped us and learning how we tick helps us overcome those old patterns. We don't have to be the story we've always told ourselves. So hit me up, DM me. I want to know if you don't know your Enneagram or your Myers-Briggs, I don't know, MCBI, MB, I don't know those. Anyway, I'm an INTJ. Hit me up, DM me. I want to know more about you because I think you are fascinating because I think people are fascinating. Okay, that was thing number 1. The next thing I want to share, I'm a hands talker, can you tell? It's 2 things in one. So the first thing is Russell Brand has a podcast called Under Your Skin. Digs into a lot of spiritual things, philosophical things. But most recently he had Brené Brown. It's the very most recent episode in wherever you listen to your podcasts. It's amazing. Dude, Brené Brown, I know it's like beating a dead horse, but that woman is doing some of the most important work on this planet. She is just freaking amazing. So anyway, she and Russell Brand, and he's got his own personality they're both big personalities, and they have a lot of fun in this interview. Which brings me to thing number 2. Let me back up 1 second. So in this episode, they talk a lot about the state of our culture, the state of the world. They dig into parenting, and not just parenting, but just human development. So even if you're not a parent, and even if you don't want to be a parent, they talk a lot about human development and what shapes us, kind of like the Enneagram. Those traumas, even the little ones, even the ones where if you felt like if you told someone about it, they'd be like, that's nothing. Those little traumas matter. They matter to you. They shape you. So they dig into a lot of that in this episode, along with spirituality and its importance in our culture, and how maybe there's a vacuum that gets created when it doesn't exist for people, and that we're spiritual beings, and it's just such a beautiful episode. But there is one quote from the episode that I listened to this 3 days ago, and I'm still thinking about it. The quote is, and this is where we got to pull on our big girl pants and our big boy pants and be grown-ups. When we avoid confrontation to keep peace, we start a war within ourselves. When we don't have boundaries in our life, in all the areas of our life, and please don't, I'm not preaching at you because I'm working on boundaries. This is a practice, so I'm just sharing with you what I'm learning as I learn it. So definitely not preaching at you. When we don't have the conversation with the employee that we need to, we start a war within ourselves. We start to chip away at our integrity. When we let other people dictate how uncomfortable we need to be. When we let other people make us uncomfortable through their words and actions, and if we let other people hurt us just to keep the peace, and we don't have that confrontation, that hard conversation, that chips away at our integrity. And so that's what she's talking about, is really having those moments with people where we say that's not okay. In how this relates to our finances. If we don't put up good boundaries around our spending, around our saving, around our money habits, when we don't confront that, because it's easier to go out with the friends and spend the $60 on dinner, or let's be real, it's probably not even $60. I live in a small town. It's probably like $80 to $100 to go out for dinner and drinks. But when we don't set those boundaries, when we let our friends or our family influence how we spend, we chip away at ourselves. There's a giant fly over here buzzing around. So that was the thing. When we avoid confrontation to keep the peace, we start a war within ourselves. So these are the things I'm working on and digging into, just, outside of business and outside of raising 2 little tiny human beings. And this is the stuff that fascinates me. So if it fascinates you, I hope you really liked this little, episode of 3 Things Thursday. Can we call it an episode? Yeah, we're going to call it an episode. So thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me today. I'm going to go try and enjoy some sunshine while it lasts because we're in Ohio. And it doesn't last in Ohio. So you guys have a great weekend. Get outside, get some sunshine if you can, and DM me. I want to know your Myers-Briggs score. I want to know your Enneagram. I just want to know about you. So take care. Love you guys.